Ape Escape became an instant hit on the PlayStation during its release in 1999. That spawned multiple sequels on the likes of the PlayStation 2 and Sony PSP that follows the role of Spike, a boy that is tasked with pursuing and capturing apes that have gone AWOL and have actually gone back through time due to an experiment and a device that allows for time travel. So it's Spike's job to recapture all of the missing apes to stop them from reinventing or retelling time or rewriting history. So it is a single player game, but it has a lot of unique quirks and aspects to it. It has some really nice and cartoony graphics that looked very well for the PlayStation during its time, and it has many different gameplay styles and gadgets that the player can use at their disposal in order to incapacitate and capture enemies. You will also have to deal with a multitude of other monsters and elements that you must either avoid or take out along the way in order to help you, as the apes themselves can be quite cunning in their ways in order to try and escape from you. They can throw items at you, even throw bananas on the ground which you can slip on. They can also hit you back, so they will always try to avoid you at all costs. So if you manage to capture the majority of the required amount of apes within a level, it will then allow you to proceed then to the next stage. So you'll have to continue the process as you go through each of the environments in the game. That can start off pretty much from the prehistoric period, leading on to different eras, and you will come across a multitude of different animals, even prehistoric, with the likes of dinosaurs in some of the levels. So it has a really cool idea and aesthetic to it that will appeal to a multitude of different players, and with its cartoony nature it will appeal to both younger and older audiences alike, as it just has many cool features. Plus it was also one of the very first games on the PlayStation 1 to make full use of the analog control system with the DualShock controller, as very few games rarely used the analog features, with the left stick being able to control the characters and even using the right stick to use for the gadgets. It was relatively unheard of, so it was one of the first games to implement that system, and it worked really well, and I think that's what also helped it sell in big numbers. The game itself, like overall, received critical acclaim as I mentioned, and it did receive really good reviews in magazines stating that it was really good for what was executed, but it also had a lot of originality in terms of the mechanics and the features being used that was different to what you would have seen in other platformers on the PlayStation. You had the likes of the Crash Bandicoot series, even Spyro the Dragon, but Ape Escape provided something new and different that wasn't seen before. So that's what really appealed to gamers at that time. Ape Escape also has created somewhat of a legacy and is still considered to be one of the most popular gaming series on the PlayStation itself, with further sequels leading on to future consoles, and it's still a very popular series in general. So with the gameplay itself and with the environments, it has all of your typical platforming and combat elements that you would be familiar with combat with platforming games, but it just has a lot of quirky elements where you have to utilize different ideas and the environment around you to help you. Like in many cases when you get to the level where you have to avoid a T-Rex, but you have a monkey on its tail and you have to try and capture the monkey using the net while it's still on top of the T-Rex's tail, and that can be quite challenging to overcome. So there's that unique element of so many different traits and features in the game that try to challenge you at every way possible, which not only makes the game challenging but also very rewarding for the player. And with all of those elements and traits, it has left Ape Escape to be one of the most successful and probably one of the most popular games ever to be seen on the PlayStation. And it also came at a time during 1999 where you had a lot of big hitters that would go on to become iconic brands in their own right, with the likes of Konami, Silent Hill, among many other massive games. So Ape Escape, while it is a different game, still managed to stand out amongst an overpopulated crowd during that time to still become one of the best selling games of 1999 on the PlayStation. You have everything pretty much from platforming elements to dodging traps, taking out enemies, to swimming, and the various different ways in which you can capture the monkeys, from all the gadgets that you can use, from using nets, even swimming in the water and using different gadgets within the water to help you also capture swimming monkeys as well. There's a load of really cool tricks and ideas in this game, and in many ways it was ahead of its time. So it's just one of those very unusual yet very iconic games that has stood the test of time, and it's easy to see why it is so popular, because with the re-release of the game on the PlayStation Plus Premium catalogue that allows you to play the game on the PS5 or even the PS4, which introduces the game to new audiences but yet to old audiences as well. So people that would have played it growing up will be able to enjoy the experience all over again. And you also have access to updated trophy support, which will allow you to play the game in many new ways to achieve all of the trophies listed in the game. So that will add to the longevity of the experience for both new and old players to revisit the game. It is definitely a title worthwhile revisiting, or even if you're new to the Ape Escape series, definitely go and try it out. It is a true iconic game in its own right that helped achieve great success on the PlayStation, but also helped to expand the PlayStation's brand in many different ways due to its many quirky features. And it follows a list of a long heritage and lineage of iconic 3D platformers that also saw a release and saw a home on the PlayStation during its inception from way back in the mid-90s. And it's just one of the many unique and awesome games that are worth playing in all respects to it. So if you're a fan of 3D platformers and want something a little bit different, definitely try it Ape Escape and see what you think for yourself. But it'll be interesting to know what your thoughts are of this unique game, and what did you think of it overall. Did you manage to play this game upon its release back in the day in 1999, or have you yet to play the game in its current state, and would you be interested in playing the game now on modern systems? Let us know down in the comments below. And in the meantime, if you would like to see more content around other types of 3D platformers that were also released on the PS1 that have many unique traits and quirks that also span the long and popular history on the console itself, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.